With its auction houses, private museums, and collectors, the balance of power in the global art market is shifting and shows no signs of slowing down.
It's been just a week since this 900-year-old porcelain brush washer shattered our world auction record for Chinese ceramics. It sold for nearly $38 million and is just one of the recent indicators of the booming Chinese art market.
We've had in the last 20 years a huge sort of influx of mainland Chinese buyers who are really fueling the room with new prices, new interests, and that's what's really sort of driven the price today.
The country's art market went through an earlier major peak in 2011 due to the rise in the number of its billionaires.
Art products have become part of people's investments. In the past, we just collected works, while now we not only collect, but also take them as investments.
And that interest has allowed China's auction houses to compete with the world's top art auctioneers, such as Sotheby's and Christie's. Beijing Poly and China Guardian are only two of the country's 6 that are in the world's top 10 auction houses, and all but one is just a decade old.
I do not see them as a threat, I see them as healthy competition.
Last year, the global art market generated sales of more than $56 billion. China recorded 34% of that, leaving the United States and Britain far behind. Despite the buying frenzy, China's domestic market remains highly controlled, as the government restricts access for foreign firms. But if that changes, it could redefine the standards of today's art market.
Professor Aylin Seckin is with us today to speak more about the potential of the Chinese art market. Thanks for coming on our show. So I want to talk about how the growth of the Chinese art market was triggered. It's usually compared to the US art market, which is the biggest in the world right now. What do you think?
Actually, everything is related to economics. As you know, since 1980, China is accumulating a lot of capital. World's production is concentrated in China. And over the course of these years, China also developed a lot of billionaires. And wealth increased a lot. So the first reason is the heavy accumulation of wealth. And if you want me to give some numbers, since 2000 to 2016, wealth per adult increased 4 times in China. And there are about 120,000 Chinese who have more than $14 million to invest. So this is a lot of money if you think. So the first reason is wealth. The second reason is the yuan, Chinese currency is weakening. Where to invest the money? They cannot transfer capital easily. There are lots of capital controls. So they invest the money in art. This is the easiest way. The other issue is the corporations, and especially tax incentives and other government policies to promote art purchases of corporations. So corporations, we see lots of Chinese corporations opening museums, etc., building collections. And the other...
There's a lot of foreign... The government actually stops foreign companies from actually purchasing artifacts from China as well, correct?
This could be explained by the role of the government behind everything. Chinese government has very clear objectives: return art to China and keep capital in China. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, for some years now, it promotes auction houses and corporations to along those lines. So we see lots of Chinese buying Chinese art and even outside of China. And the other element is this is love for tradition and patriotism. Chinese are very patriotic people. You know, if we compare, so they prefer to buy an artist because the artist is Chinese. So all these help Chinese market to boom. But we cannot ignore the role of the government. It's a government project. It's a government project to make China soft power. So tax incentives for corporations and helping companies to organize exhibitions even outside China, all those are part of Chinese government plan to show China a very cute and sympathetic country.
Okay, I want to talk about the role of artists as well in the industry. It is said that a very small proportion of artists is responsible for a very large market share. Do you think that the contemporary art market is a good example of winner takes all?
Extremely good example, but there are many examples, as you know, in every sectors in the economy. We see football players. There are top football players taking a lot of money. Singers, pop singers earn a lot of money. Few earn a lot of money. It's a very skewed distribution of income. And same thing for contemporary art and in general. So this doesn't mean that there is inequality, but this could be explained by economics of superstars. So maybe these few good examples are enough to encourage a lot of people to get into these sectors. I mean, once people stop thinking to become an artist, you will see that we won't have any superstars in art market.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left today. It was a pleasure having you on our show.
Thank you. I can come whenever you ask me to come.